Hey everyone, for today's build, I'm going to be covering Lady Morgana Le Fay. She is an Old Faith Arcanist. You require 16 points in Old Faith if you want to unlock her, and let me tell you, she is well worth it. I don't have any sort of crazy build for her really today to show off like I did for some of my other characters, but that isn't to say that she's weak by any means. She is extremely powerful, extremely useful, and can provide all kinds of support and damage for your team. As usual, I'm going to start off with the essences I have selected for her. There are a couple picks that I would maybe swap out here if I wanted to alternate my team comp to maybe focus more around her doing a bit more in the damage department, but for this team, as I've shown previously, that role is filled up by the Black Knight. So, with the role that she is currently taking up in my team, I decided to give her Essence of Spellcraft. This is +2 to Spellcraft. This is not a combat essence. This Spellcraft stat here basically will just help you know what shrines do and maybe find some extra loot. So it's still fairly useful. Essence of Warding, 25% less damage from spells. I decided I wanted to give this to my Morgana as opposed to maybe say like my Mordred, who's going to be frontlining, because I've noticed a lot of spells are AoE, so they're going to be targeting groups of your units that like to huddle together. And with the way I play, I usually have my frontliners kind of spread out while I have my backliners kind of staying together. So this will help mitigate a lot of that incoming damage. Essence of Speed, 1 additional AP. It may just be 1 AP, but every bit definitely helps when it comes to your Arcanists. They have a lot of abilities that cost a lot of AP, so just having that 1 extra can enable 2 spells or 3 spells being cast in 1 turn as opposed to just 1 less. Lastly is Essence of Observation. Grants 1 additional tile range for all range skills. She's an Arcanist. All of her spells are ranged, so getting just a little bit more range on that is super useful for being able to just snipe stuff from across the battlefield. Alright, now moving on to her gear. As I mentioned before, I wasn't really able to secure any pieces to enable some sort of crazy build with her. There are a couple I'm aware of, but unfortunately I didn't get the pieces necessary for it to really show off something crazy here. So this is just going to be a more general basic level Morgana build, but it is still highly effective. She can still put out great damage based off of just her talent trees and provide great debuffing control and support for your team. So to begin with her armor, we have Abel's Greater Sigil. You can see it has 3 armor, which isn't a whole lot. However, it does have an ability where she can only lose 1 armor to a single hit. So essentially this is going to block 3 attacks. That's a lot more than any standard light armor is going to be blocking, especially at this high level. At most it's going to be blocking 1, maybe 2. After this, we have some damage reduction if she's in cover, which is not going to be uncommon for her. One primary one in particular doesn't require a direct line of sight on them. So this is a very easy way for you to tuck her away if you need to and just weather out the storm. You can see there's the 3 armor it applies, and it provides an injury token. This isn't super integral, but it is nice because injury tokens prevent your characters from acquiring injuries, and Arcanists generally have the lowest amount of injury tokens, so this will give you a little more wiggle room in case you get jumped on during an ambush and she does start taking some vitality damage. For the weapon, we have the Cursed Rune of Kaoniag? Sure. This provides a great ability of when you kill an enemy, other enemies within 2 tiles gain 20% vulnerability. That's just a flat damage taken debuff, which is great, really opening up and enabling more kills for the rest of your team. And that's going to be a real consistent theme for Morgana. She's a just amazing enabler. Furthermore, we got +10 damage against bleeding units, +8 weapon damage, just base damage, and +10 armor piercing. So she's going to be a little better at piercing armor, which is great, and doing extra damage against targets that are bleeding, which is also good for her because as an Arcanist, she does have access to a Hex that can set the bleed condition. For the jewelry, we have the Astral Ring. Plus 2 tiles of range for range skills, stacking on with that essence that's plus 3 now. She is just an absolute sniper. Additionally, plus 8 damage against units that are 6 or more tiles away. That's easy. You're gonna want your Arcanist to be pretty far away from where the action is going down. Very easily usable damage buff. Place 8 damage while disengaged. Essentially meaning is there's no enemies next to her attacking her. Again, easy, that's how you want her. And then plus 10 attack while hiding from cover, kind of stacking with her armor here. You can get bonus damage and damage reduction. Finally here, Ashes of Abhartach. The big thing on this is minus 1 AP cost for Blood Hex. With this and the talents, this makes Blood Hex cost 1 AP, and that is actually very important for an Arcanist, is having AP reduction. It really lets you just churn out a lot more actions per turn. We have plus 36 Hex Intensity, which is amazing. The Hexes on Arcanists are very, very powerful. You want to have high Hex Intensity. Plus 12 bleeding damage. Again, we're going to be throwing a lot of bleeds down with our Blood Hex. And then plus 2 bleeding duration, so that will extend the duration on those bleeds and give you extra damage against them for longer. As I mentioned before, this is just sort of a general build, and you may not even get stuff like this. You could very easily get even better stuff. As this is just a sort of similar playstyle, your Morgana you want to play at, just look for similar effects to these and you'll get very close results. Now we're getting into her skills. I'll kind of briefly cover some of the basic ones that I think are just good with every Arcanist, and then I'll go into what she has specifically that makes her so great. So first off, we have the magical armor. 29 armor, helps protect her from 2 hits. You don't want your Arcanist taking more than 2 hits. If they are, you should probably be replanning your tactics a bit better to keep them out of harm's way. Sometimes you can't help it, that's fine, but generally the 2 hits is more than enough. This stacked with the armor I have her has her eating like 5 hits, so she's very tanky as far as Arcanists go. Here for our base attack, we have Ice Bolt. Some Arcanists have Force Bolt. It's really the same thing. The main difference is this one applies chilled so instead of knockback, so it's better in my opinion. And I gave her multiple targets so she can spread out her Ice Bolts, hit 3 different enemies, apply chill on 3 different folks that are rushing in at you, and just have much better debuff control. Additionally, she gets an AP if you kill anyone, which does combo with this a bit better if you can manage to get 3 kills. Doesn't happen a lot, but if you do, you get back 3 AP, and then this move only costs 3 AP after the refund is taken into account. This one, just extra damage against Hex. You're going to be hexing a lot of targets, so this is pretty much going to have 100% uptime for pretty much a permanent 20% damage buff. We have the slow Hex, very important. Just can bring enemies to an absolute crawl and have them miss out on their entire turn. We want this to be cheap for the spell spamming, so we took this, and the cooldown duration, again, for spell spamming. Blood Hex, cause the target to bleed, and they start dealing less damage. This is great to alleviate any incoming damage to your party, and again, that bleed, 1, it's damage, and 2, it just really combos with a lot of the gear pieces we have for her to have her do more damage against them. Hex Intensity, you're always taking Hex Intensity, always taking cooldown reduction. Lower the physical debuff resist so that way your other abilities can be more effective, and then increase the duration so that way you don't need to keep reapplying it every single turn. You can spread out your targets. We have Death Hex. Target loses 30% of their vitality. This is an amazing enabling move. You just drop this, they can lose hundreds of vitality for 3 AP, and just set them up for an easy kill from herself or anyone else in your party, really. Again, going for the Hex Intensity and reducing the cooldown. We're taking Master of Hexes, again, just increasing the Hex Intensity, reducing the AP cost of them, which is why our slow and our Blood Hex is costing 1 AP each. And then again, increasing damage for every hack of a Hex. It's going to have 100% uptime. Mindstorm, this is what I've been referencing every time I mention the spell spam. When you have 3 skills on cooldown, you cast another spell, it lowers all their cooldowns by 1. We have 2 spells here that cost 1 AP, and then there's always going to be enough AP left over to cast another one, so you're always going to have at least 3 skills on cooldown minimum. And then you throw out another one, and you'll be casting your primary spells, her ice spells, one every single turn. You may have to alternate back and forth, but you're going to be casting ice spells every single turn. Now moving on to our more Morgana specific spells, we have Glacial Strike. This move is amazing. It does extremely high damage, applies chill to reduce their AP, and additionally we can take extra talents into it to have it be cheaper, reduce its cooldown, to combo off of our Mindstorm, extra damage, and then also have it freeze. This kind of offsets this one here, but it's better to have this cost 5 than 6. 1 AP, like I mentioned before, can make a big difference, and having a freeze on it is just huge single target crowd control. Next, we're taking Ice Thorns, a 4x4 AoE. It's very large AoE. 80% weapon damage, but it applies chill. You're going to be landing chill on 3, 4, 5 enemies easy, very consistently. Huge group debuffing capability. Extra damage, of course, want the damage on her, and then reducing its cost. Cost reduction is, keep saying it over and over again, for that Mindstorm. You'll get to see how crazy it is when we get to the gameplay. Last year, we're taking Ice Spikes. Ice Spikes is a little bit of a weird one, because you're going to be having her sit back most of the time, and this is a fairly close range move. However, there are going to be times when enemies sneak up on you, and you're going to need to knock them away so she can retreat safely without provoking those attacks of opportunity. This one is great because you can spec knockback into it. Additionally, you can spec chill onto it, so you can knock them away, chill them, reduce their AP, and then they won't have the ability to chase after her. Reducing the cost, of course, and then increasing some of the damage. Now, this is a relatively cheap spell, so there are some times where I may be 1 turn off from one of my cooldowns to cast either Glacial Strike or Ice Thorns again, but I do have a high amount of AP, so because I passed my previous turn or something, I'll throw an Ice Spike out, and that'll reset the cooldown and allow me to cast one of these 2 moves. Last thing is a passive for her, Master of Ice, essentially just increasing the effectiveness of Ice Spells. I did not give her Ice Wall. You'll see this does buff Ice Wall. I just didn't really find much need for it, especially since I run another character that has Ice Wall on this team. But I did increase the effect of this by 10%, just extra chill and freeze effectiveness, just strengthening her CC ability, and then increasing damage against frozen or chilled enemies. Again, very easy. She's going to be throwing chills and freezes around like crazy. And then that covers all our skills, so let's go ahead and jump to some gameplay. Our first fight example here is against a group of Fomorian warriors during the Wargwood mission, level 25 endgame. Very hard difficulty as usual. You can see they have very high health pools, lots of armor, and we're going to take advantage of this and show off how oppressive Morgana can be with her debuffs and control and sniping damage that she can really just lay in onto a single enemy. So to open up with, we're just going to throw out some hexes. And let's pass our first turn, build up some AP for the following one. Alright, we're going to focus down this Beastman here on the right, because he is going to be doing more damage than the Shield Breaker, and he's closer than these other 2 targets. So to open up, we're going to do Death Hex right there. That was like 270 damage, I think, just dropped off immediately because we have the increased Hex intensity, making this take off 60% nearly of his health. And we just put Glacial Spike on him, dropping off another 110. So hundreds of damage right there. At range, 2 moves, super low health, easy kill, secured by the DPS.
What is your command?
I'm gonna drop a hex on this guy, slow him, reduce his damage. We're gonna pass. Alright. This time we're gonna take up the Shield Breaker. Again, he already has the Blood Hex, which means he's going to be taking extra damage from Morgana due to the equipment we have. Death Hex. Glacial Spike. And, I mean, that health is so low, pretty much anyone in our party can secure that kill. So let's go ahead and get it with a AoE. Just gonna put some CCs on them, so they're not really harassing us while we largely just wait for the next turn to keep showing off more of what Morgana can do.
What is your command?
Alright, so Glacial Spike is her big DPS damage, right? For a single target? Well, 2 turns. Thankfully, as an Arcanist, they have that talent where if you have a bunch of abilities on cooldown, it actually lowers them. So, we're actually going to drop this, which then takes our Slowing Hex off cooldown for another cheap 1 AP. Drop that on him. Glacial Spike is back. We have enough AP again for the Death Hex Glacial Strike combo. Up to 60%. 1, 2, and he's gonna die out from the bleeds that she's put on him with this Blood Hex. So we can go ahead and just ignore him and direct our attention over here to this guy. Alright, just more of the same stuff, really. You can just cycle every single turn. Looks like we're going to be 1 AP short to get to that Glacial Strike. That's alright. Ice Thorns is still plenty good. Apply Chill. And you just see all of these debuffs racking up on him. But we'll go ahead and put him out of his misery. Here for our second fight, it's a little bit of a softball. They're only throwing 2 Beastmen at us, but I thought this could be a good opportunity to show off Morgana's ability at completely solo. I'm gonna have her basically 1v1 this Beastman, have the rest of them go off over here, and they'll deal with him while Morgana just bullies the hell out of this guy.
Many offerings.
Down to 1v1. Actually, we're going to reserve some AP for the next turn. But he had chill on him, he had the slow on him. Can't even make it to her.
Many offerings.
Gonna put down Death Hex. Glacial Spike. He took like 3 steps at her. And one last fight. This time against some more Fomorians, but we have one of their spellcasters in their back, a mini-boss variant known as the Windmaster. Wanted to use this fight as a good example to show how Morgana is really good with her obscenely high range and debuffs to help lock down those enemy spellcasters that like to just throw stuff at a distance and harass you with their debuffs, AoEs, etc. Had a little bit of a miscount on my AP there. I was off by 1, so I used that Death Hex, but that's really no issue. We can easily get that cooldown back. Just take an extra turn of some spellcasting.
And steel.
And say goodbye to the Windmaster. any one of our other characters has abilities to snipe off the last of that little 50 bit of health. Just drop a thunderbolt. There you have it. Just this incredible range constantly can be harassing the enemy backline over and over again, greatly diminish their health, bring them down to a point where you can just sneeze on them and they'll die. You saw it yourself, even without getting the crazy specific pieces to turn her into a machine gun, which can be possible if you get some AP per kill things on her. Even at a basic level, Morgana is insane. With no specialized build, she is capable of throwing out consistent spells every single turn and throughout just amazing burst DPS with the combination of her Death Hex and her Glacial Strike. These two together able to snipe down softer support units or spellcaster units in the back, and if not, weaken them to such a high degree that anyone else in your team can just throw a light attack at them and finish them off for good. Outside of her sniping, just the oppressive debuff she's constantly throwing out every single turn between slows or damage debuffs, or another AP reduction in the form of Ice Thorns. She can do a lot. Morgana is one of the best Arcanists in this game, in my opinion, and you're going to have a lot of fun using her. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.